How's it going, everyone? It is Trigger. We're back with another My Hero Academia video. And this time we're doing kind of a fun video. I wanted to do what if the villains within My Hero Academia were heroes. This video will only have content up to Season 6. I'm not going to talk about anything from the manga of My Hero. I just am going to stick up to Season 6. So, if you've seen up to that far, you're good. The first one I'm going to talk about is Dobby or Toya, which honestly for him being a hero, I feel like it would be incredibly similar to Endeavor / Shoto. He's definitely not going to probably be as strong as them, especially if he didn't do the burns to himself yet, or, is willing to go past that point and, burn himself. But obviously if he's willing to, burn himself, then yeah, he probably would be theoretically, at par with them or beyond them. The whole thing with him being a hero is a bit, complex, because obviously his upbringing wasn't that great and he had some psychological problems, and he would probably be, if anything, very similar to Endeavor before, his change of heart. To where, yes, he's saving people, but he might not be doing it for the proper reasons and actually kind of come off very douchebaggy. And it wouldn't shock me if that rubbed off on to Dobby as a hero, to where, he is only caring about strength and not actually, really saving lives too much. Especially since Endeavor basically only raised him with the sole purpose to, defeat All Might. Going on to Toga. Toga is very interesting because you might not have her be a traditional hero. You could kind of have her have the Lady Nagant situation, to where she's in the shadows doing covert missions. Her quirk would be very useful for infiltrating whatever organization they need to, if they get her some blood, and, finding out intel and, taking down people in disguise. Who knows if she'd even have her quirk awakening like she did in the 5th season, to where, she could use, Ochako's quirk. But if she did get the quirk awakening to where she could use people's quirks when she's transformed into them, then that kind of changes her role, because they could have her be more of a upfront kind of brawler hero. You get hints of her being kind of good, but most of the time she's insane, and I don't know how well her personality would suit her being a hero. Obviously, I mean, this is all hypothetical, but if you take how she loves Deku and Ochako, and she could channel that into being a hero, sure, why not? Going on to Shigeraki, which could have potentially had his family be down the hero path if he would have never been in the adoption thing, which, obviously led him to, be a villain. His quirk is one of the most dangerous ones you could possibly have. They could have used him more as an infiltration hero, kind of similar to when they were breaking into Overhaul's base, to where they need to break into someplace, and he could obviously do that pretty darn easily by using decay. He probably would have been a pretty decent hero if he wouldn't have been kind of groomed for evil. I mean, if he had someone by his side, I feel like he could have actually done very well in the world, because obviously he was led astray, which obviously if he went down the whole hero path, he would have never gotten All for One, and been kind of the successor to All for One as well. Going on to Spinner. The first thought I have when, you think of Spinner as a hero, I just immediately thought of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's basically a Ninja Turtle. And especially if you had him as a hero, come on, he's totally a Ninja Turtle. And obviously he's following the Stain ideology, but, if you didn't hear about that, I feel like he could have went down the hero path to, try and reform society in some good way. Obviously, he doesn't have the most flashy, over-the-top quirk, because, he's a lizard man. And I don't feel like he's going to be the most, brawler type hero. I feel like he'd just be, a background hero helping out with support and stuff. Going on to Mr. Compress. Him being a hero would be a super valuable asset to try and, capture people to, bring them to jail because of the ability he has to, put people in those little spears he has and capture them, kind of similar to what he did to Bakugo. That is an incredibly useful quirk to, capture people and, transfer them easily. And honestly, for him being a hero, I feel like he would be very well liked because obviously he's very flashy, being a magician and whatnot. Honestly, for hero popularity, I could see him kind of rank higher just because he obviously puts on a show every time he's, doing stuff in the show. And I could see the public kind of liking his theatrics. Honestly, out of most of the League of Villains, I could see him being one of the more popular heroes in the bunch. I feel like probably Dobby would be next. Going on to Twice, which if Twice was on the hero side, gosh dang, he would be a powerhouse, since obviously he can have multiple clones of himself and even have his clones turn into, different heroes and use their abilities as well. Essentially having Twice be a one-man army, which it really is no wonder why they put such a high target on Twice's back, because his quirk in the right circumstances is literally broken. Twice is one of the ones that has yet another mental challenge to get over to, be a hero, because obviously it took him quite a bit to get over the kind of duplicate personality stuff that, he was dealing with. And I think if you didn't have him have kind of a rough life for the most part, he probably could have turned out better, which for most of these villains, it's basically how it turned out. Their life sucked, so they turned out to be a villain. Which going on to probably the most ultimate villain of them all, that being All For One, which quite literally would probably be just All Might 2.0. And All For One as a hero could be very, very useful in the sense of, you get a very dangerous villain with a, very deadly quirk. They could just have All For One come in, steal his quirk, and then guess what? That villain is no longer a problem because he doesn't have that deadly quirk anymore. Now, what do they have All For One do with the quirk? That's another question, especially, do they let him keep it? How many quirks does he get? I mean, that's another problem, with him being a hero, the logistical side of it. But basically, he's kind of like All Might at that point, to where he has a massive slew of powers. He's a massive powerhouse. And essentially, he can do really pretty much anything, because, he can take people's quirks and use them as he sees fit. Theoretically, he could be even a stronger, version of All Might if he was on the good side. Now, personality-wise, I would severely doubt he would ever have turned good, because he is a very bad boy, and I can't imagine him being that well liked in the public. He's very conniving, I will say that, so he could potentially, get people on his side by just, sweet talking them. But again, I feel like it's going to go down more of the endeavor route of not really being a hero to be a hero. You're doing it kind of just for the pure strength of it all and trying to be the best of the best. Going on to Stain, which is one of the few that actually was going to be a hero, but he didn't like the whole, ideology of it. But theoretically, let's say he continued down that path, which he would be very, very useful as a hero, because obviously he can paralyze people if he licks their blood, which if he's fighting any kind of villains, obviously paralyze them, arrest them right then and there. They can't do anything about it. I feel like him as a hero, he would be very much trying to spread his ideology of this is what it means to be a hero. You got to do this, and if you don't do this, you're not a hero. So basically trying to do what he did as Stain, but, instead of killing people and actually putting, bad people behind bars. And the final one I'm going to go over in this video, that being Gentle Criminal, which just like Stain, he was going to be a hero at one point, which things didn't work out for him. Which Gentle as a hero, I love his personality. I feel like he would be very well liked because he had such a kind of bubbly, nice personality to him. especially if you still have him paired up with La Brava, because then you could have him as like the hero and sidekick, and they could be more marketable that way. I personally would love if he was still a hero, but he still did the YouTube thing. So he's like doing his hero stuff and he's still like filming it for YouTube and like, look at the villain I caught this week. That's like one of the reasons why I love him so much as a villain, because I just find it so hilarious that he just is like, okay, I'm gonna like record my villain acts and post it to YouTube. And honestly, for him as a hero, I feel like that could work out really well for him if he like recorded what he did and posted it to YouTube, because it could have this like level of transparency, like, oh, look at how good he is at de-escalating a situation, or like stopping, you know, these villains. Like, look at how much of a good hero he is, which actually could have an incredible PR effect for, you know, Hero Society in general, like showing the regular man what your heroes are actually doing, and you know, you're not just like making up whatever they're doing in your head. What do you guys think the villains in My Hero would be like if they were heroes? Leave that in the comments below. I posted on the channel that Spooktober is right around the corner, and I was asking for your guys', you know, thoughts about certain topics that you would like to be covered within the October season, which pretty much my only guidelines were is just, you know, have it fit the Halloween season. It could be from, you know, different animes like Fairy Tail, My Hero, or movies. Just pretty much as long as it's within the, you know, Halloween parameters or spooky season, I would like to theoretically cover it. In like the last 2 years, I am going to be covering a horror franchise. The first year I did Friday the 13th. Last year I did Nightmare on Elm Street. In this year, I do have a few plans of the ones I'm thinking of doing for, you know, this year's franchise. But for the regular videos throughout October, leave your guys' topics that you would theoretically like to have discussed in the month of October for Spooktober. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and this is Drago signing out.